We're focused on infectious diseases. And, to start a company focused on infectious diseases is certainly counter to the prevailing views of the industry. Much of the pharma industry has either reduced their efforts in infectious disease or gotten out completely, just shuttered it. The mantra was you can't make money in infectious diseases. And really, that's because of antibiotics. And, you've probably read we desperately need new antibiotics to treat resistant bacteria. The reason we need them so much and nobody's working on them is you really can't make money. That if you succeed and make a new antibiotic, it is reserved for last line use because physicians are appropriately concerned that overusing it will result in the development of resistance to that one too. So they want to save it for when it's truly needed. And so it's a low volume product. And because of the way the antibiotics are prescribed and treated, the price is capped. So it's a low priced product. And it's an acute product. You take it for a few days or a couple of weeks, and then you're done. And the next time you get sick, there's no brand loyalty. You don't come back to that one. You take whatever you get prescribed for your next one. And so all of those things combine to make antibiotics a terrible business model. And there were biotech companies that made very good antibiotics that went bankrupt, even though they had approved drugs. And so on the other hand, Gilead, in the Bay Area has tens of billions of dollars of revenue treating viral diseases, treating HIV, hepatitis C. Hepatitis C is also acute. You take their drug for a short period of time, you're cured of hepatitis C. The irrational part is the healthcare system is willing to pay $30,000 to rid you of hepatitis C, but they're not willing to pay $4,000 to rid you of an antibiotic-resistant bacteria that will kill you. So it's not rational, but it's the way the healthcare system is. But because so many of the companies had backed out, we saw a need. There are huge infectious disease problems. Antibiotic-resistant bacteria are one. Flu. Tens of thousands of people die from flu every year. Hepatitis B, which infects to almost 300 million people around the world. TB infects a couple billion people around the world. So there's a huge public health need, and for the right indications, also a tremendous amount of money to be made if we were to be successful. So we went all in on infectious diseases. Our goal was to be the biotech company focused on infectious diseases and be able to compete head to head with whatever large companies were still in the running. We raised a lot of money. We raised almost $600 million initially.
That is unusual. I think, maybe the audience has an appreciation. That's an enormous war chest.
That is, it's an order of magnitude more than most startups get. Most startups these days a little more, maybe it's 100 million, but it was 50 or 60 million. It's still a lot of money, right? The idea was to go make some acquisitions, sign some deals, hire in a really good, competent group of people, and go forward really aggressively, roll up other assets in the biotech industry that were underfunded, underexploited, and become the leading biotech company in infectious diseases. So it was a pretty aggressive plan. And we were on our way. We had really interesting program. We have really interesting programs in flu and hepatitis B. We have a program with the Gates Foundation to make a vaccine for HIV and TB. And so we're doing interesting things. And then COVID came, right? And then, we had some assets and some ways to approach COVID. And, I remember it was January 5th when our chief scientific officer, a guy named Skip Virgin, came to me and said, "This is the big one. this is going to be a huge impact and we should work on this. And so we started really early and pretty aggressively. And for a company like ours, we made some big bets because we're not a huge company. We didn't want to stop the other programs. We had to add this to them, which means we had to staff up, hire more people, spend more money. We're bringing forward antibodies, which now fortunately look like they're going to work. But we had to make hundreds of millions of dollars of commitments for manufacturing contracts in the future. And those are take or pay, right? So you pay for them whether or not your product succeeds and you need them or not. And so that's a huge, almost existential gamble for a company like ours. We wouldn't have made it if we thought it was truly existential, but it was close. And so now we've been focused on COVID as well as those other two. And obviously COVID's getting all the attention these days.